Assalamualaikum and good greetings. So in the last video, I have suggested the very first step towards your marriage is to seek and to find your own self first. To find out what is your core values, what is your vision, mission, what is your ambition, what is something that you do not want to compromise in this life. You want to achieve something before you die and leave this temporary world, right? Find that core thing first. That is in the last video. Now, continuation to that, this would be an extension to that. I'm not sure whether to say this is step number 2 or 1.5, but regardless, I got married at the age of 25 years old. And if anyone asks me normally in my life, when do you get married, is it early, late, etc., normally my default answer, because this is from my perspective, my default answer is I got married quite late at the age of 25, because back then my target age of getting married is 23. Many people seems to be surprised that I said 25 is late for getting married. And even now, many of my juniors, when I talk with them, I ask, do you have a target age for getting married? It's like 30 years old and above, which shocked me. I thought, okay, is this a generational issue where life now is so hard that, you know, economic, etc., that, you know, the age where it makes sense to marry is 30. But then I recall back, my perspective is not a norm even back then. It's not that most guys got married at 23 and 25 is considered late. It's just my perspective back then. So there's a difference between my perspective and the norm, and that comes with this suggestion that I would like to give in this video. Now, given that you have explored and searched yourself and you have found your core values, your vision, ambition, mission, etc., that is mostly tend to be in abstract conceptual ideas, right? I want my marriage to be functioning in this way. I want my marriage to be, you know, focused on da'wah, mission, etc. We rarely go into the technicalities and operation aspect, right? Normally that's how it is, because we cannot even imagine that phase yet, especially in the age of like 19, 20, 21, right? So this is the suggestion. When you have the core values, etc., mission, do talk, have a discussion with shuyukh, with your elders, brothers, sisters, uncles. In Malay we say pakcik, makcik, etc., right? So meaning that the asatizah, the shuyukh, the elders. Why? Because there where we can connect or build a bridge between our conceptual aspiration with operational aspect, which we may not even think of before. Based on their stories, they might not even purposely give that, right? They just tell the stories, but we can pick up certain things, some from their stories. Oh, I never thought of it that way, something like this. And I have experienced this a lot. Many of my aspiration and my target and my plan actually shifted throughout the several years before I got married, based on this interaction and discussion with the elders. One example that I would like to share here, there's a lot of example that can take like hours if we want to discuss, because, you know, every single time we have the opportunity to talk with the shuyukh, etc., we grab it. Just an example relating to my stories just now. When we discuss, and one thing is asked by the elder. Okay, I highlight two things here. One is purely human survival aspect, and second, perhaps more da'wah Islamic work. On the human survival aspect, he said from his experience, coincidentally, that elder is he got married quite late, not late 25, late meaning 30 plus, and he just expressed this. He says that it is actually a challenge when your kids go into high school and go to the university level at that age, when you are already retired and have no stable income as prior to that. Perhaps this is a reality for Malaysia. I'm not sure elsewhere, but it is a challenge if you still have your kids in the school, etc. There's a lot of cost there, especially if you want to send to private school, Islamic school, etc. Even more so, even more if your kids do not have scholarship for university, etc. So that's one consideration, and from there I get, oh, I never thought of it. So then I have a plan. Okay, my ideal case is when my kids go into high school, end up high school, go to university, I'm still at this range of age, and then I calculate back. Hence, my target is I want to get married at 23, right? So that's where it comes from. And then when it's delayed to 25, it's like, oh, this is already late from the plan. So so that's one, right? Where I have never would have thought about this aspect if I just think on myself without having that discussion with those who actually have went through 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of marriage and have kids growing up, etc. Right? So that's number one. Number two, this is even more if you have the ambition that the household, the family have a mission of Islamic works and da'wah. Do you have a target? This was the question asked to me in that discussion, right? Do you have a target of age you are in when your first or second, of your kids go into university? Because normally that is the age where a defining phase of life. I would testify to that. Most of what I am now is solidified at that phase. At that age of your kids, at least the first two, for example, right? Do you wish that you are still in the 40 plus of age, or 50, 50 plus, 60, or what? And then you can calculate backward as well, right? So what is the ideal age to get married, right? So all of those, alhamdulillah for me, my eldest son have finished the high school, went into the matriculation, the foundation, before going to for 1 year before entering the university life, right? So I'm still at the age where I'm still actively involved in student movement, student da'wah, etc. So I know the reality of the IPT, of the universities. I know what, at least I can still relate to some of the issues of the youngsters, etc. now, and not totally lost touch, etc. So at least from that perspective, what I planned earlier, this is the fruit. Of course, it is not automatically then my son would be the outcome that I hope, because there's still work now. But it would be much more difficult from a perspective if I'm much older than me now, right? So that's among the many things that I have got from the wisdom of those who have gone through it for decades, and from this discussion, right? So it's not sufficient for me to just have the aspiration, mission, ambition from the conceptual, and do not have the insights of the operation and technical aspects. So that's where I suggest, when you have found your core values, mission, etc., then have this discussion with the elders that have the same core values and mission and vision, and have lived through life in that line. And you will have, inshallah, a lot of insights that you might not even thought of before. That is very, very beneficial to get it early on, before you actually, go through life. Because most people just look from personal perspective now. For example, undergrad student, oh, I have to work first, stabilize my economy, etc. So they only look from this part, right? And then after all of this, then I think 30 years or 35, whatever they think is stable, before getting married. They never thought about what will happen 20 years after that, and is that ideal, right? So by talking to the elders, I think then you can readjust if necessary. I'm not forcing anyone to get married at 23 or 25. I'm just saying those decisions and those targets for me is formulated based on the core values, ambition, mission, etc. Additional to that, the wisdoms, the insights from the operation technical aspect, and hence comes the plan, inshallah. So hopefully this is beneficial, and yeah, what's next, that will be in the upcoming videos, inshallah. Thank you for watching. See you next time.